Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, so it really is a late night tonight. It's 10 after 12, but I had a day at home today, so feeling all rested up and ready to do another video. One of the things that we've done very recently that was very difficult was to withdraw the offer of building a house for what we have come to know as the Crying Lady. Now, just to give you a little more information on this, because there seem to have been some misunderstandings on it. The Crying Lady came to us a long time ago when we were at church, which is where a lot of people come and make their requests. The other place that they come to is the house early in the morning, usually 6 o'clock, between 6 and 7, because they know that we're still home. So they come with us, they come to us, and the first I know about it is when I'm still in bed, and Nanai will come up. Nanai is a very early riser, and she'll come up and say, there's somebody here. So then we go down and we deal with whatever is there to deal with. But the Crying Lady came and she was crying, and we went along to see her house. In doing so, we also went along to see Tag, and so we went to see him, and then we went to see the Crying Lady. Crying Lady, they're living in a tiny house out in the hills, beautiful setting, overlooking what look like huge lakes. They're not lakes, actually, they're man-made ponds where they breed fish, but the beauty is still the same. So lovely rolling hills. They tend cattle, just a few cows and stuff like that, not very much. But anyway, they managed to get her a living. The lady has a husband who also works, not quite sure what he does. But anyway, we went along there, and sure enough, it is a tiny house that warrants being replaced. So she went onto the list, and we had to decide between two, and we chose to do hers. So we went out, and in good faith we bought the materials, and we were in the act of dropping them off at the place that she had said she could build, which was next to her mother's. Now this is where it all got kind of complicated, because it turned out that as we were driving away, having dropped off the materials, the old lady came up and told us that in fact the house, quite a decent house that's next to hers, belongs to the Crying Lady, her daughter. So all of this you will have learned about in other videos, so there's no need to go on to it. But it then moved on into a possible reconciliation that we could. Now, I can't take credit for foreseeing it this way. For myself, the Crying Lady had lied to us, had tried to get her mother to lie as well in order to get a house. Now, the family that have become known by their code name, the Karate family. Now they decided, they must have had a little conference when they learned what had happened, and we were driving away, and they had given 10,000 pesos. So this was the decision of the Karate family, was not something which initially I agreed. In fact, I have to tell you that I was very much on the verge of saying, no, we're not going to do that, we're going to send you the money back, which we do actually. So what happened then was that Beth went ahead thinking that I had agreed with what was said, and she agreed with the Karate family, that our contact with them, that we would give 5,000 to the mother who needs it for, she has goiter, and she wants to go to where she can have it treated. She needs 5,000 pesos. And that all became evident in the discussions and the arguments between the crying lady and her mother. Now, in that whole thing, there's a great deal of upset. But the Karate family saw that the mother had a need, so they said 5,000 of the 10,000 should be given to the mother. Then 2,000 of the remainder should be given to the crying lady, plus 1,000 should be spent on groceries and also given to the crying lady and her family, leaving 1,000 that could be given to the next house, which is house number 30, which would have been the crying lady's. 1,000 was to be used as best we decide, making up the 10,000. So what actually transpired was that all that the Karate family in their wisdom said was, we just ask of the mother and the daughter that they reconcile, that they become able to be in the same room together, which was a difficult challenge. So in among all of that, it's incredibly easy to judge. When you're just looking at something on a screen, it's quite different when you stand with your feet on the ground and the woman is actually crying tears that you can see. It's so easy to make these judgments, and it's not that we are the wise, not at all, and it's not as some people may think. Somebody just wrote to me and said, you can see it in the comments, they said, the comments that you don't like or that you don't agree with, what happens to them? What's going on here? Well, what happens to comments is down to my judgment. That is down to my judgment and down to Beth's. If someone makes a judgment, and I've said this many times, that I don't agree with, well, I respect that judgment. I'm not going to hit like because I don't like it, and I'm entitled to my opinion, and if I don't like it, then I'll just leave it as it is. If it is put politely and with respect, which is how I hope that my response to comments comes across, that I respect someone's opinion, even if it's not like mine, and I respect it and acknowledge it. If it's something that requires a response, I respond, and if it's something that has a question and I can answer that question, I will. I can't always get to everything, which is why I say, if you have something that you really want to discuss, send me a private message on Messenger or email me. My email is at the end of every video. So, when it comes down to being the all-wise, we're not. We never ever said that we are. We do what we can with the resources that we have in the best of intentions. We don't have to be there. We are asked to be there. Sometimes, as one of our subscribers that I respect very much said about Tag, said, it doesn't seem like you're welcome there, so why not leave him alone and let's see what happens. And I thought about that and I said, you might be right. So it's not that we know exactly what to do, but we know what we think. And if someone comes out and starts putting us down, well, we don't have to listen to it, because we're building this channel. We're creating this channel, and we go out and we help those that we can help in the best way that we can with the resources that we are given, which actually is given to us by subscribers. Now, with the case of the mother and the daughter. We were able, thanks to the karate family, we were able to effect a reconciliation of sorts. Now, we don't agree to build a house for the crying lady because she has a house, and she lied to us, and then she compounded that lie by asking her mother to lie for her as well. And there's a perfectly good house there. She's living in that tiny little house with all of her family because of a dispute with her mother. Now, her mother may be domineering, her mother may be a tyrant. We don't know that. We don't know that the crying lady is suffering from depression, which a few people said, well, she's obviously suffering from depression. Well, maybe that's true and maybe it's not. Do we get in between the family discussions? That was my first response to what I thought was going to be a refusal of the karate family's request. I thought we don't get in the middle of family disputes because it's a no-win for anybody. We're interfering, and I don't like to interfere. Not in cultural, not in emotional disputes. But anyway, we went ahead and there we were. We handed out the money as we were asked to. The only thing that I did, which I felt was some kind of a concern, was that the daughter was standing there in the middle of an emotional dispute with her mother, and the emotional dispute was bad enough that she moved out of her own house onto a tiny house in an isolated place up on the hill. So she's standing there and she has a bolo in her hand. Now, for anybody else in the West, that's a machete. I don't think that that's an ideal situation, and somebody criticized me and said, you went in between the mother and the daughter has the machete. Bad move. Sorry, did you think that it would be a better move to come up behind the daughter and take the bolo away from her? I think bad move. Come up in front. I am a neutral person. I have been someone who she has been well disposed towards and hopeful of having a new home, and I gently took away the bolo from her and I said, let's take this quietly. And I took the bolo and put it down. That's what I did. Now later, when we went along to give out the money, it seemed like there would be no reconciliation. As it happened, there was a reconciliation, but as somebody else said, didn't seem like much of a reconciliation. Well, it was a reconciliation that was the start of something that could be worked on. So nothing when it comes to emotions is a click stop. You don't go click, angry, click, happy. It doesn't happen. But if you can get to the point where you accept that the other person is in the room, has a viewpoint that is different to you, if you can also, and I say this from experience, if you can also be assured that both parties are not attacking each other anymore. Now, when it comes to country, this is called a ceasefire. You stop trying to hurt the other person, and that is the very, very minimum for you to have before you can hope for peace. Now, if someone is saying, well, let's have peace, but they're still attacking you, it's not going to work. I have experience of this very recently. Someone saying, let's have peace, let's bury the hatchet. And then when I turned around, the hatchet got buried in my back. So it's not going to happen. You have to choose who you can be in the room with, and that's dependent on whatever the change in behavior is. Now, in the end, the daughter did come together with the mother. Now, was there still some machine gunning going on? Well, yes, there was. But there was enough there to help. Thanks to the karate family. Thank you, everybody in that family, if you're looking at this video. We learned a lot. You were right. You were the compassionate ones, truly without judgment, and your suggestions have actually helped to heal, at least start the healing process for that family. Now, somebody said, well, what happened with the husband? Well, the husband kept out of it. It's two women arguing, and he probably may not have had anything to do with anything that happened. So he's standing by saying, okay, I hope you can work this out. And it seems like we did. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the karate family. Can't say enough for how grateful we are that we were able to drive away from that scene in the hope that all will be well. We'll bring you a little update on that in time, and hope that things have now, when we report, that things will have gotten better. Let's hope so. Maybe the mother, I think, said that she was actually going to leave in a few days, so certainly the daughter will be moving back into her house, and whoever was living there, I think her sister or something, will move out of that and back into the mother's house, which has plenty of room. And don't judge the mother too harshly. The mother, I think, as far as I know, asked for help from her children, and for one reason or another, and let's not judge them either, they were unable to give that help. Just remember that when people here say that they have no money, guess what? They have no money. Better to think that there is something there that you don't know, and probably will never experience if you're living in the West. Thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines.